Alter Your Algorithm, a podcast where we talk about what we focus on and how we can make sure it's Jesus. I'm Jackson.
I'm Tyler.
Thank you for joining us this week. If you didn't get a chance to listen to last week's episode, we were joined by our summer intern, Caleb Todd. It was great to have him on here. And so if you get a chance, go listen to that episode. Also, I'm just going to put this out here for our listeners. We're trying some new audio equipment today. So if the episode sounds good or bad, let us know, and hopefully we can get some things improved. We're working out some kinks, but I'm excited that we've got some new equipment that we're able to use.
All right, today we have Chris Bentzel, superintendent of CCPS, and we're excited to have him. Just as we get ready to kick off the school year, as this comes out, it should be first day of school, and we know it's going to be a great day across the district. Chris, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. Thank you first for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to always collaborate, meet, have conversations with people in the community, and especially with the two of you. I've listened to your podcast a lot, and appreciate what you're trying to get done, and you are getting done. My name is Chris Bentzel. I'm superintendent. This is my 6th year going into it, going into 21 years in Christian County Public Schools. I'm married for 23 years to a beautiful wife, Kelly, who's also a teacher, and I have 5 children. One is a teacher at Millbrook, and then the 4 others are enrolled, 2 at County Middle, and then 2 at Millbrook, and 2 grandchildren, and excited for the school year to start off, and hopefully we're successful and safe, and we make an impact. So,
absolutely. School is going to sound cheesy. It's one of my favorite things. I come from a long line of educators, and there's something fun about the start of the school year, the smells, the going school shopping and all that, just the opportunity to do something new. I enjoy it. It's an awesome thing. And then Tyler, I mean, you do it every year.
Yeah, it's one of the only, I guess probably the only profession where you start over each year.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
reset
you got
button,
new group, reset. If last year wasn't the best, you have a good chance at starting over and starting fresh and making changes and all that. And, you know, we're just looking forward to hearing maybe a different side from Mr. Bentzel that maybe the public doesn't always get to see. So we're excited.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about leadership, vision, faith, and how you can make a lasting impact in kids' lives and adults' lives, whether you believe it or not. The scripture that's going to kind of, be our launching point is Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Be strong and courageous. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Moses has just died, and Joshua is about to lead the Israelites into Canaan at this point. And it can be so daunting to look at that. I can't imagine being in Joshua's shoes and not knowing what was going to happen. But the words that were left with him were, "Be strong and courageous. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And those are words that we can take with us as we go into a new school year. So, Chris, what was the first thing that inspired you to go into education?
Well, I like that verse, first of all. That's very fitting for first-year teachers, for anybody. Even me, I think Tyler could confirm that. I get really nervous the first day of school, and that first night you hardly sleep at all. So I'll keep that in mind about being strong and courageous on August 18th for that first day. Going back to your question, I think the impact is huge for educators, for adults to have on students. When I went through college, I had a part-time job in a little town called Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, and for 4 years I worked at it's like a boys and girls club, but it was an after-school community club for kids. And I really liked it, and I appreciated the time with kids. I appreciated what it taught me. I appreciated the fact that they appreciated you coming every day and seeing them, and they were excited to see you, and the joy that they had for just being able to spend time with you. And growing up, I remember everybody remembers their great teachers and their great educators, and even our youth group, teacher, sponsor, leader, the impact you can have. So I would say in college, just the impact that I was able to have, and then going through and doing my student teaching in inner city school in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, it was great. I learned a lot about life and about different things that affected me now. And so those early years in education, studying to be a teacher, were what led me to do what I wanted to do.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So you started just like most people, other than you had a different career coming into teaching. So you went military, and then teaching. Walk us through how you went
Sure.
from that to being superintendent.
Yeah, there was probably 3 reasons why I started to go into the military. I knew I wanted to be an educator, a teacher. I thought I wanted to be a coach, basketball, soccer, baseball, one of those athletic sporting teams. But when I got out of college, I had just turned 21, and I had never been away from home. I went to college 30 minutes from where I grew up. So I knew that there was more to life that was out there, and I knew that if I was going to settle down, I needed to get some things out of my system and travel some places. So that was the first reason. The second reason is my father served in the military for 3 years, and I always admired him for that step into serving, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. And the third reason was college loans. To be perfectly honest with you, I had a lot of college loans, and the military had made a commitment to me if I served a certain amount of time, they would pay them off for me. So those were the reasons, and I just wanted to see the world and have some adventure. And before I settled down into teaching and education,
I have a question. This is not related to anything that we're talking about. I may cut this out, but you mentioned student loans being a thing that one can deter people from going to college, but
Right.
then also it can be a burden, and so people are looking for ways to eliminate those college loans. But how are you guys getting teachers to come back to Christian County? Because I feel like I'm remembering something that you talked about where you encourage students to go to the community college and then Murray,
right?
and then they come back and teach in Christian County.
Right, and it's called Rotary Impact that our Rotary team here in Christian County, the Rotary Club, sponsors. Obviously, we still have that HCC Rotary Scholars Program for 2-year associate's degree completion, and then the Rotary Club here in Hopkinsville stepped up for 2 more years.
Wow.
And sponsoring tuition at Murray State.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. So what role has faith played in your leadership journey?
You know, I think it's really important to go back and reflect on where you've come from and how you got to where you are. And in the moment, you might not have seen the faith you needed to get through some of the tougher times. But now I see that my faith in God's plan and my faith in what I needed to do was so instrumental in where I'm at today. So, you know, getting out of the military after 10 years, I was making a decent living. You know, I was a helicopter pilot. I had 10 years in the Army. I was an officer. And getting out of the military was a very big decision, especially financially, because I was at that 10-year mark and I had to do 10 more to retire. And my wife and I struggled with that very much because I wanted to be a husband and a father, but you couldn't do that and put that as primarily your focus because the Army would tell you where to go and when to leave, and if they wanted you to have a wife, they issued one. So It wasn't their priority. It was my priority, you know, God, family, and everything else. So I can remember one time we were struggling with the decision. I had an opportunity to transition out, and my wife and I were just so at a point where we just didn't know. And I told her, I said, look, I'm going to call my commanding officer. I'm going to stop it because we're unsure, and I'll just tell him I'm going to stay in the military. And so I called him, and I had a good relationship with him, and he always picked up the phone, always. And he didn't pick up the phone. And I could have just said at that point, I'm staying in the military, rescind my transition papers out, but he didn't pick up the phone. And he never called me back. And that's unusual for him at the time, you know. So to me, that was a God thing. It was my faith leading me to he'll take care of any issues we have. To have more faith in the decision that we're making. Because it was the right decision. You know, it was the right decision to put my family first, even though my first paycheck in teaching back in 2005 was $1,400 for the month.
Wow.
So for the month, for 4 weeks, it was $1,400 take home. So that was a huge leap of faith. I know another situation, kind of more recent, that I feel like is a journey in faith was the high school. And building this new high school for Christian County Public Schools and for our community and for our students. You know, we had the very bad cycle of bids that we went through, and it was very almost embarrassing to what happened. You know, it was over $90 million overbid, overpriced. And, you know, I prayed about it. I talked to people that were important to me, but at the end, it was my decision with the board to go forward or to stop it. And we could have just stopped it and not went back into the rebid process. But we took a year, and somehow, the faith led me to keep moving forward, and we were successful.
Faith helps you do hard things, and a lot of times we get caught up in faith is only supposed to help us with religious decisions.
Right.
But when faith is a part of every aspect of our lives, it helps us make decisions in
Right.
other aspects.
It's a little bit easier to do when you're praying about it and you're walking with them, and it makes it a little bit more less challenging. But you're right; it's about everyday life as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the first day of school brings excitement and challenges. What's a first day memory that will stick for you forever?
Sure. I think there's a lot. Obviously, first day as a principal at elementary school, first day as a principal at County High. I have two. My first day as a principal at Lacey Elementary School, it was my first day as an administrator. I was really excited, really nervous. That morning I got to school about 3 a.m. I was excited. I just couldn't sleep, so I just went to work. And I got a phone call from an employee about 5:30, 5:45. Her name was Kathy Henderson. She's still a good friend. And she said, "Do you need us to come into work today?" And I said, "Come again? What do you mean come into work? Why would you say, yeah, I need you to come to work? It's the first day of school." "Yes." She goes, "Well, they canceled school." And I said, "What?" And I didn't know because, we had no cell phone reception up there. We didn't have the parent square thing and all that. They had canceled school because of really bad storms that night.
Wow.
And all the roads were kind of, if you remember that.
I do now.
Yeah. It was the first day they canceled it. And I
thought they were pranking you.
No, I thought they were
Now
pranking me. Yeah, but I was sitting up at Lacey Elementary School by myself, just
3 o'clock.
working away.
Love it.
And that's how I found out. The first day of school that was pretty cool, and that's a memory for me, was about 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. My youngest daughter, started kindergarten at Millbrook. My second youngest daughter went to Millbrook, and she was in first grade. My second oldest daughter, Caroline, was in fourth grade. Ben was in fifth grade, and my oldest daughter started teaching at Millbrook. She was teaching fourth grade. So I have 5 children, and they were all in one school for 1 year.
That's awesome.
And it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have a picture of that moment hanging up in my office, and that'll never happen again. So that one time was pretty memorable for sure.
That is very special. That's very special. As you look ahead to this year, what excites you most about leading the schools in Christian County?
I think we're close to the finish line, and what I mean by that is we've done a lot of different facility moves and different initiatives, from building a new high school to beginning a new early learning center, to shifting our schools and some of the facilities moving around. Indian Hills going from Blaine Drive to Kaufman Drive, starting a new law enforcement department, and a lot of new principals, a lot of new faces. And I feel like this year, once we get through this last transition year, we're on the home stretch. It's going to be a really tough year because we're closing Christian County High School and Hopkinsville High School, and we're starting a new tradition. But after this year, we're set, preschool to post-graduation, from MLK Early Learning Center to the new Christian County High School. And then we just have to get better every day, refine the craft, just really improve what we're doing, where we're doing it at. And I'm excited because we have some really great principals. I'm sitting across from one of them. He's starting his first year at Millbrook. That's pretty exciting. And we have a lot of people that are doing a lot of great work that I don't have to tell them to work hard or ask them to work hard or even wish they would work harder, because they're doing it. And so I feel like we're at the top of our game in a lot of aspects, and we have about one more year to kind of finish it out and really start a new chapter in Christian County Public Schools.
It's awesome. You mentioned we're approaching the finish line. Well, what comes after the finish line? Well, it's a new race.
It's a new race.
And I am so eager to see what happens, because I see so many benefits of it, and the community can come together around it, whether they want to or not.
Right, exactly.
And it can be so good. It can be so.
And you can sit here and debate whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's here. It's happening. It's probably the best to rally around it and support it. And it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic, especially for our kids. And that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
What's the best advice you could give a first-year teacher as they head into their first day?
That's a great question, because I think first-year teachers are told so many things by their principals, by their mentor teachers, by their college professors, by their friends, their family, and you only get one first day as a first-year teacher or first teacher entering the profession. So I think there's a couple things that I would advise a first-year teacher, a new teacher, to do. Number one, I would think ask for help, ask for questions. Don't be embarrassed. Where's the copy machine at? What's the code? Where's the bathroom for adults? Just silly stuff that they're afraid to ask for, but they need to know. I think have fun is important. Learn your kids, learn their names. That's the one task that I would challenge every first-year teacher to do the first day of school is learn their names of every kid in their classroom and set the tone. You're the adult, you're the leader in the classroom. You can do that by having fun and building relationships and teaching content, but you also have to have a presence and a respect for your class, and your students have to reciprocate that respect and presence. So I think there's a lot to do that first day, but if you just simply have fun, work hard, set the tone, learn your kids' names, and have fun, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. The thing that I try to remember most as a minister is what it was like to be a kid.
Yeah.
If you can do that wherever you're interacting with the kids, and if it's at a youth event or if it's in a classroom, if you can remember what it was like to be a kid, put yourself in their shoes for a second. Remember how awkward it was.
Right.
Remember the struggles that you had, or maybe you didn't have, but try to take their perspective whenever you're able to do that. And then on top of all those things where you're having fun with them, oh man, you can make a huge difference.
And I think that's a great point. I think Tyler and I are in a very similar situation where, and usually you don't see this from administrators, but my children are in the school system, his children are in the school system, and you can see from a parent's perspective and from your kid's perspective how school's going for them. Mm-hmm. My daughter is going into 6th grade this year, and she's terrified. So how can we as a school system make that transition a little easier for her? What can we do? So yes, absolutely. And as a school leader, him and I sitting here, we can just look at our kids for that perspective and keep that in mind as we lead forward. So
yeah, I would say just don't forget to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And everything that you're feeling, I would say 99% of every educator is feeling the same way. Yeah. Everyone has their first day.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough, but there's no job in this world that's more rewarding than being an educator.
Absolutely. And everybody, I know I'll be nervous August 17th, the night before.
I was going to say, you have first year APs and first year principal. You're right here with one.
Yeah. So.
And we don't have it all figured out.
Nope.
But
not at all.
The further up you go in the chain, it's no different. You still have.
If you care about it, and I think most people that are in our system now do care about it, so they all get that nervous that night before.
It's good. It's good to be a little nervous.
When the kids don't know any different, they don't know that it's your first day unless you tell them.
No,
and that's fine if you tell them, I guess. But shoulders back, walk in there with your head up high, enjoy the day. You'll blink and it'll be over, and then.
And you'll fall asleep quickly that night.
Be ready for day 2 the next day.
They're coming back.
We're full week. We're starting with the full week.
Full week. We did that last year. It was exhausting by Friday, but that'll be all right. We'll figure it out. We'll get there.
Oh, me. Well, Chris, thanks for those stories and insights. I think that's really good. As we transition into the connection to alter your algorithm, we've got several points that we'd like to share with you. And the first one is that vision shapes culture. Who changed culture more than anybody in history but Jesus Christ? Right. And he understood the vision and goal that was laid out for him better than anybody. And because he had that vision and he followed through with that vision, he was able to make incredible change. And that's what leaders do. They set the tone, and that tone influences everybody in your circle. And as a teacher, as a leader, it can influence everyone in the building. A clear vision brings alignment even when challenges come. Today is going to be filled with a lot of trials. If this is your first day of school, there's going to be things that are supposed to go a certain way that just don't. But when you are set on your vision and you understand where you're supposed to be going, you can overcome those challenges. And if you don't set the pace, someone else will. Are you going to be the person that takes charge, or are you going to let the student run the classroom? No, you as a leader have to understand the vision and be the person that is sharing that with everybody.
The second point we have here is first days are more than first impressions. The start of the school year, you can establish your routines, your relationships, and kind of start that momentum. How you start often determines how you finish, and it's a marathon sometimes. You don't have to be great to start. You have to start to be great, and that's a comment that kind of comes to mind whenever you start thinking about the school year. Small moments at the start can define the story at the end. So building those relationships, getting to know the kids. I'm a firm believer in winning in the hallways and in the commons areas and things of that nature. That way you can win in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you mentioned something, this might come up a little bit later, but small moments can make big differences. Last year I was talking about rectangles, and I made just a sly comment. I had no thought about it, about how to remember that a rectangle is a rectangle. I said something about getting wrecked, and the kids thought that was the funniest thing in the world, and they remembered it for the rest of the school year. Yeah. Those small moments that you have, if you're trying to relate to the students or whatever, can help solidify your impression too.
Yeah, and we're in a society where if you watch any TikTok at all, you can know exactly what's cool with the kids, and it can be lame and stuff, but like exactly what they're gonna say, and you used to with their slang is like, what does that even mean? Yeah. But now you just get on TikTok, and it's like you have the blueprint for success.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, the final one is leading through faith and integrity. I think it's really important that leaders are just good people, and that's really hard to do in today's society. Just be a good person. And then on top of that, be a good person and walk in faith. You don't see that a lot in a lot of people. It's hard to do the right thing all the time. It's hard to not use profanity. It's hard to go to church every Sunday, and it's hard to walk in your daily life outside of Sunday mornings and Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. So I think that's really, really important. And we have a lot of leaders in Christian County Public Schools that I would consider men and women of faith, and we've worked really hard at that. The most recent example is Ken Carver, the executive principal hire that we made for the new Christian County High School. He's very grounded in faith and very deep-rooted in his religion and his walk, and so I appreciate that. Now, that's not the decision you make when you're hiring somebody, but it sure helps a lot to have those same values, because when you have your values aligned, like when hiring Tyler as the principal at Millbrook, when our values align, he's going to do the right thing. And as I said before, it's important for the school system, but it's also important for my kids go there. My daughters attend there. Right. So I want to see a Christ-like man leading that school and doing the right thing.
Yeah, the day that we recorded this, Sunday, our preacher talked about Psalm 10 and how it is so tempting to lack integrity.
Yeah.
It's because it's easy. It's easy to just do what I want, and being a leader is hard, and we've already talked about that, but I commend all of the leaders in school systems for having to make hard decisions, and encourage you to keep.
Well, and because kids are looking at you every day.
Yeah.
And I know it's not it is one of your values, the ethics value, the code of administrative ethics, and the things that you have to do, a standard of evaluation.
Right.
But you got to be a good person to lead kids.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we don't struggle with that as much in Christian County Public Schools anymore. And I'm thankful for that, because we have a lot of good people doing good work.
Awesome. It's easy to do the right thing when people are watching.
Yeah.
What are you doing when the lights are off, and what are you doing?
Well, I think it's easy to do the right thing when everybody else is already doing the right thing too. It becomes
that's leadership. That's influence, right?
Influence right there. So as we keep going, we'd like to share with our listeners some practical takeaways and some applications. Chris, we're going to give you the first one.
Start with purpose. I believe that is really, really important as an individual and as an organization. When I first became the superintendent of Christian County Public Schools, we took about a 6-month time frame to redefine our mission, our vision, and our core values in our school system. It took about a year when it was all said and done, but that sets your purpose, what you're about, and what you go about doing each and every day, and why you do it. And as an individual, as a leader, my day starts the same kind of way, the same manner, with devotion, prayer, and scripture. Reading the Bible, doing my daily bread, and saying my prayers for my family, for the day, for what I'm going to face, for what my family may face, for what leaders are going through in our district. If they're having surgery, or if they're have an in-law or a family member in the hospital. So that's a good 30 minutes that I need to set aside. And if I don't do it every day, I can tell a difference in my day. Mm-hmm. So I think starting with purpose individually and as an organization is huge. It's impactful. It's imperative.
That's good.
The second practical takeaway we'd like to give you is lead from where you are. You don't have to have the title to influence people. I see it happen all the time in youth group where, yes, I'm the youth minister, but there are leaders in the group. There are people who are stepping up, watching out for other people, making decisions that benefit the whole group, and that is awesome. You can be a first-year teacher. You can be your year of retirement. You could be the superintendent. You have an opportunity to lead from where you are, no matter what it is you're doing. Look for opportunities to serve and support everyone daily.
Yeah, and it's important. I think you have to think about you can't lead people beyond where you're willing to go yourself, and I think that's important as well. The third one here is set rhythms, not just goals. So establish those habits that keep you grounded throughout the year. It's going to get tough. There's busy seasons. It's going to be tough around Christmas. It's going to be tough around fall break. I went out of order there, but spring break, testing time, end of the year activities, it's going to be tough. And if you're not an educator, you have seasons in life that are tough as well. So set those rhythms, those daily habits. Make time or space for renewal even in those busy seasons, and just make sure, kind of what you mentioned, if we stay grounded daily with our prayer and our devotionals and things of that nature, it sets a good rhythm for daily life.
Yeah. Well, something with these practical takeaways and applications that we want to remind our listeners of is we are giving you advice that Jesus followed himself. After he fed 5,000 people, which was this awesome feat. He was able to do this awesome thing, and then he went off and rested. Like, sometimes we're tempted to just keep going and going and going and going, and no, we've got to set the rhythm. It was a priority for Jesus to take that time away from the crowd and try to be alone for just a minute so that he could catch his breath. It's so important to, Chris, what you were mentioning, start your day off that way and then just continue to do it in that rhythm. The last practical takeaway we'd like to leave you with is speak life into your circle. Encourage those around you, especially during stressful moments. Kids during testing weeks and just a regular test day can be some of the most stressed out kids I've ever seen in my life. But when you can just give them like the peace of mind that this is going to be over in 1 hour and you're not going to have to think about it anymore, that's great. Unless, of course, they fail it and then they retake it or something. But you can speak encouragement into kids' lives. You don't realize how big of a difference that can make in somebody's life. And it doesn't have to just be a kid. I love saying positive things to people, just reminding people of how good they are because they're made in the image of God. People need to be reminded of that because it is so easy. Culture does not want us to believe that we are special sometimes, but God has a plan for us. And so speak that into the people you hang out with, the people that you're trying to influence, the people maybe you don't know who they are. Give them encouragement.
All right, Chris. So as we close, we appreciate you being on. Do you have any final words of encouragement or wisdom as we close?
Yeah, I encourage the two of you to keep doing what you're doing. It's great to see males, adult males, leading others, influencing others in a godly, practical way. So I think it's great for me just sitting around the table and listening to what we're talking about. Reminds me of things I have to do better, and it's a good connection to your walk with Christ. I also encourage the community. August 18th is a big day. Pause a little bit when those bus stop arms are out. Give us a little bit of grace. Parents, the same thing. We have 8,000 kids we're transporting to school, and we'll probably mess up a couple times that day. It's bound to happen. We have new leaders, new teachers, and we just want to have a great, positive, safe first day. And to get to that point, we're going to do everything we can. And all we're asking for is to have fun and enjoy the moment and a little bit of grace throughout the process. And thank you for having me on. This has been great.
Well, thanks for being here.
I appreciate you saying that. That's great points. A lot of times we, with the busyness of the day, and it's easy for waiting in that line, being a little irritable and things of that nature. We have the kids' best interest at heart, and we're just looking for a great first safe day as well. So as we close, think about this question. How will you set the tone for your own year, whether that's in a classroom, whether that's starting fresh this year? Like, you don't have to wait for, special dates on the calendar. How will you set the tone for the next year? Identify one way this week. Lead the way. in your family, the workplace, with your kids, whatever it is, whatever you're a part of in the community, set the tone, lead the way.
Absolutely. Chris, I want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to lead us in a prayer, and then the episode will be yours. Let's bow. God, we're so thankful for today, thankful for the new beginning of this day and what it means for this school year. Father, I ask that you be with all of the educators, be with all of the students, be with everyone who's working in the school system. Father, be with the parents, and just give us grace, give us peace, and show us love. Father, help us to lead like Jesus did, humbly and with purpose, understanding what he was hoping to achieve with his life. Help us to be influencers like him. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to All Year Out.